Thanks, Greg, and good morning, everybody. Good morning, Carroll County. Good morning to all of our staff. And we are at July the 16th, July, in the middle of July already. It seems like we were talking about July 4th just yesterday. So that's come and going. Anyway, summertime heat setting in, and hopefully everybody's staying safe with that and all of the things that come with all those summer activities. As we always do this morning, we are going to pause and take a moment of silence after we say our pledge to keep everyone in our thoughts as they are either traveling and hoping that they are staying safe, and making sure that we are putting an emphasis on all those that are on the front lines wherever they may be in this pandemic. All those are first responders, our nurses, our doctors, everybody, and certainly not forgetting those in our armed forces who allow us to be able to do these sessions on a weekly basis. So with that said, I would ask that everyone please rise for the pledge, and then we'll take a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, thanks everyone. Let's jump right into Priority Carroll. We've got a relatively compact agenda for today. We are going to be without Commissioner Frazier. Commissioner Frazier is involved in some exciting activity with his family over this weekend coming up. So we say congratulations to him and all the folks that are that are in his family. So let's go right into Priority Carroll, and we'll start with First Vice President Commissioner Ed Rothstein. And before you go, Ed, we do have a caller on the line. I would ask that the caller please mute your device. We will not be at public comment for a little while here. So if you'd please mute your device, because we get a lot of feedback on here. All of us would appreciate it. All right, Commissioner Rothstein.
Okay, Steve, good morning. First and foremost, congratulations to Dick Weaver, number 4, as far as grandbabies, I believe. So mazel tov to you and the family. That's awesome to hear. Couple of things I just want to share. Yesterday, I had the privilege of participating in a fireside chat with former commanders at Fort Meade to talk about the resiliency programs and center that we are establishing on the installation. It's come a long ways over the last 10 years. The reason I'm bringing it up as Priority Carroll is there is 8% of the workforce from Fort Meade that lives in Carroll County. And this resiliency program is designed for them and their families. There's still a lot of challenges that are out there, and we have to walk away from the stigmas associated with some of those challenges and get the services and needed help, that's available. And that's really what this resiliency program is all about, is how to pick yourself up. Which leads me into another topic, which I'm glad I started here in the community, and that was the 22 push-up challenge dealing with suicides. Our veterans are still committing suicide at a rate of anywhere from 18 to 22, 24 a day. And there's this challenge to bring awareness to the suicide rate of our veterans, but it's a suicide rate of not just our veterans, but all those in the community. What really got me going was I am now seeing folks on social media doing push-ups that I have no clue who they are. And I go down the line and I see, oh, it started with me through either, Commissioner Weaver, through somebody else. So it's got that secondary, tertiary, and onward effect, which just is awesome. That I see at least, you know, a dozen plus 20 folks in the community doing push-ups, continuing to bring awareness. And if we just continue to do that, again, we'll work on breaking down the stigmas. So those were the few things I just wanted to share this morning, and look forward to getting into the meat of the session. Thanks.
Okay, thanks, Ed. Commissioner Weaver, and congratulations, sir. Grandchildren are pretty good. And you're one ahead of me now. So I don't know what happened there, but anyway. Commissioner
Well,
Weaver.
yesterday was a nine-pound bouncing baby boy to Chip and Sarah. So they were having a good time. I mean, with this, everything's going well. So I'm very happy with it. A little different for us, I guess, as family, but it's all good. And I want to piggyback on Commissioner Rothstein's comment about the 22 push-ups, 22 days. This is unbelievable. The people taking part in it, the comments I'm getting back, and it's awareness. No one really realized how the military affects families, how it affects individuals. I know Commissioner Rothstein probably has a better handle on that than any of us, but we also have, you know, in the first responders, we also have a higher rate of suicide, and they see things and deal with things that sometimes get to them. And so it's one of the biggest, I think, factor in this is that people are aware of it. And if somebody talks to them, they may help them get some assistance to get over their problems or help them through things. So it's unbelievable. And I tell you, I look at the Facebook occasionally more than I ever did now because of the people and how creative they're getting doing these push-ups and challenging somebody else to do them. And they challenge 22 others and they challenge 22 others. So the message gets out in a different way, but I am totally surprised at this and the comments I'm getting from it. The people were not aware what's going on. In fact, I wasn't aware that the rate was that high. So this is good for all of us. That's, you know, the only other thing I want to say is I am, I guess, in the community a little more than I had been in the past. And I am seeing a lot of people really adhering to the distancing, the hand washing, the face masks. This thing, we're going to get ahead of it as long as we all work together. And I really feel that the people, and especially in my district and in the area I associated with the county a lot, are doing their part to get this over with as soon as we can. So, thank you.
All right, thanks, Dick. Commissioner Boucher.
Good morning, colleagues and constituents out there watching. And like Commissioner Wance, you have me beat Mr. Weaver by one grandchild as well. I'm done with 3. If you got more coming, good luck to you. They're like car rentals. You can return them at the end of the day. They're not your responsibility, so they're wonderful to have. Also, Commissioner Rothstein, thanks for your leadership on the veteran suicide. That is a big issue. And you work as a ambassador, so to speak, for us in our community of Carroll County, going out to the military base. And that's a good conduit to bring those veterans up here to live. We'd love to have them in our community. So thanks for the wonderful job you do. Also, farmers out there, I see the corn and the crops are going well. That's positive, Carol, if I've ever seen it, because farmers make up our largest industry for the county. So thank you, farmers, and the weather's been holding out. Also, on Saturday, Commissioner Wance and I attended the Dream Big Union Bridge Thrift Store Boutique opening along with Mayor Jones. What a wonderful community, wonderful people. Special thanks to one of our county employees, Sherry Thompson, and Miss Susan Bond, who put together the nonprofit organization to provide for that community. It's great to see economic development in that community. And I like to joke that Commissioner Wance is like their favorite commissioner, even though it's not his district. He attends there a lot and they absolutely love him. And I appreciate the support that he gives that community. And thank you very much.
Okay, thanks, Eric. For me, we've been involved in a lot of teleconferences and I had a teleconference with the governor and his staff yesterday to get the latest updates on what's going on. And I also want to say a big thank you to all of our citizens. We continue to see a lot of uptick in surrounding jurisdictions, surrounding states. And there, a lot of folks are struggling, but our citizens here in Carroll, I believe, are vigilant, and they're really doing a good job. So I agree with you, Commissioner Weaver. Folks are paying attention, and that's the way that we're going to get through this. So I want to say kudos to everyone out there. I also want to give a shout out to our volunteer fire departments. As the heat goes up, as the heat gets turned up, so does the body temp when our folks are out there in their turnout gear. And it's difficult this time of year when you get on the scene of something to function. So keep that in mind. And keep that in mind as you are out and about. Let's try to stay safe so we can keep our folks off the streets and they don't have to be functioning in this heat. So we continue to roll in Carroll with everything. We're doing a great job at the county office building. I was there a good deal on yesterday and the day before, and was just sort of sitting back and watching as folks come and go in our lobby. And our staff, they're doing a great job. And I want to give a shout out to our law enforcement partners as well. Our law enforcement partners that are in the lobby are doing a great job down there. And I watched for a while, and they did a great job. And they're out on the streets as well. So we've got their backs, and they know that. And I want to give a shout out to them and all of the things that they are providing for our citizens as well. So thank you very much for that. I think that's it for Priority Carroll. Again, two colleagues experiencing some happiness in the midst of all this pandemic stuff, and that's Commissioner Weaver and Commissioner Frazier, who will be celebrating a wedding this weekend and his family. So a new grandchild and a wedding, that's good stuff. So congrats to everybody on that. All right. Let's roll into agenda item number 1, and that is discussion decision on all things COVID. We heard from the governor yesterday. And oh, by the way, let me back up 1 minute because Commissioner Frazier isn't with us this morning. I know he was online last night. Carroll County our Board of Education, Carroll County Public Schools had about a 6-hour board meeting last night. I don't know if is that long or short, Dick? It's average. Is that?
No, that's a very short meeting.
Okay. Okay. And certainly the topic of discussion, which leads us into agenda number 1 and is a part of agenda item number 1, was the reopening of schools. And they didn't do any kind of a vote last night, but I do know that they presented the plan that they have put in place. And we did hear from the governor yesterday about what the state plans on doing. I believe he reported yesterday that they're going to take in all of the county's plans and then make a decision on the state level based on what they hear from each individual county. So I know that our folks are working hard, and I know it's not easy, and I know that folks are frustrated, and I get that, and so do all of us. We all get that. But they're doing the best they can to try to get to a good place for all of our children come fall, which, as I said this morning, it's July 16th already. So you blink and we're going to be up against school having to do something very shortly. The governor also advised that they uncovered in the state of Maryland a huge fraud with the unemployment insurance that was going on to the tune of, gosh, $500 million with a B dollars. Kudos again to our governor and his staff, who are doing what I believe to be just an amazing job down there and getting us through what we need to do. Take a look around the other states and see what we're doing here in Maryland. So congrats to them for uncovering that. I know that they've been having some challenges with the unemployment insurance anyway, and this sort of led to it. They partnered with the federal government and our Department of Labor here in the state, and they uncovered a huge scheme that's going to save the taxpayers billions of dollars. So congratulations to them on that, and we're going to hear more on that as they continue to go through that investigation. And finally, the governor sent out a letter about 2 days ago on Tuesday, I believe, directing county leaders to ensure that we continue to put an emphasis on making masks, hand washing, social distancing a priority. And we see upticks, especially around social venues. And he wants to make sure that the leaders of all the counties, including our health department and law enforcement, are involved in making sure folks are doing what they can there with that. So I think that's all I have from the state. So I will open it up. I don't know, Ed, if you've got anything from another level, I'll open it up to you, and then we'll open it up to other colleagues for any discussion on all things COVID. Ed, we have.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I don't believe there's anything additional. There is some, anecdotal comments from the different parts of the administration, like Commerce. I know Jack, our economic development team, is working very strong with our state commerce team in the midst of all of this. So there's still continuing progress in the economy here in Carroll County due to the commitment of the administration. The state administration has not shut down, and we should never think that they have. They are moving forward. I think that letter a couple days ago, for me, really resonated. It was to all county leaders. I did repost it on social media because of its importance. The bars and restaurants are susceptible for the challenges that this pandemic brings. Down in Aldersburg, Pasta, I apologize, there's hammering downstairs in the basement. Pasta shut down for a few days, and they're cleaning their facility now. That's going to continue. The governor has recognized other restaurants and bars, especially in more densely populated areas like Ocean City, that are challenged. I think it is very important that we recognize what our governor, and it's our governor, has determined as best practices from the science and the experts that are giving him the information, and that we reach back out to our governor and say, acknowledged. We acknowledge the letter that we received. We adhere to the guidelines that he's provided, just like he's done over this whole course. We have accepted openings of the economy as he allowed, and we kept pushing forward. This is no different. And from a board of commissioners, I believe that we make a very strong commitment from a board that we recognize that our governor is doing the things necessary to strengthen our safety and our health in both personally and the economy, and just keep pushing forward. I know we have this tagline now, Carroll Forward. That's what this is about. And this is about leading by example. And the Board of Commissioners that we have, I think, are in best, suited to do just that. So if we can do a press release or a letter back to the state, I think it's warranted, and we should do that, today. That's all.
Is that termites in the background?
Now I got ceiling being put in the basement. I apologize.
Well, this is the time of year where woodpeckers are flying all over the place. I thought it was a woodpecker down there. I don't know, an Eldersburg woodpecker. I can tell you on that line of thinking, Ed, that I did again speak with the governor and his staff yesterday, and I had the opportunity to speak personally with them to ensure them that we did receive that letter, and we are doing all that we can here in Carroll. To that end, there are many of the leaders that are involved, and I want to give a shout out to Chris Swam and also to Chris Weinbrenner, They've been working in conjunction with the health department to put a reminder out to our citizens about the importance of best practices. And we also have many of the leaders taping and recording about a minute and a half, 2-minute PSAs that are going out about the importance of best practices. So I want to thank my colleagues for being involved in that. This is something that Commissioner Frazier was very adamant about last week, about putting this together. We've reached out to Sheriff Jim DeWeese. He is going to be doing a PSA on mask wearing. Ed Singer has already done his. State's Attorney Brian DeLeonardo is going to be involved in that as well. We've got the President of the Chamber of Commerce, Mike McMullen, who is going to be doing one as well. Steve Lockhart is going to be involved as well. So we're getting the word out there, and these PSAs are going to be on our Facebook and media, all the media outlets, and they in turn will be sharing it on their media outlets as well. So I want to thank everybody. I know, Ed, you did yours yesterday. I did mine yesterday.
1 o'clock.
Dick's got his today, so that's good. Dennis is going to do his after the wedding on Monday. And I know, thank you, Chris, for coordinating all this. Chris Swam, you do a great job with that, you and your team. Matt actually was babysitting mine yesterday with me. And I know you had the dude with you, with Ed. So you guys are doing a great job. So thank you for that. So I reassured the governor and his chief of staff and Steve Shue, who is running the governor's team, that we in Carroll are indeed engaged in best practices here. And I can tell you it was very well received. So I think based on that, Ed, I think the fact that I reached out to them verbally went a long way. We can certainly follow it up with a letter, but they were very glad to hear from someone from us in Carroll. So just want to leave it.
We just need to continue the message. We need to continue the message because, it's really going to come down to 3 Ds to get through this. Dedicated to doing what's right. The discipline, especially during the summer months as it's going to get very hot, but to maintain the social distancing, to maintain the mask wearing, to maintain the washing of the hands, and then determination to get through this. But we're not going to get through this unless we do the first 2. And, whether it's in the paper, if it's on the news, I mean, when I saw the Secretary of Commerce on social media say, wear the damn mask, that means a lot because she is one of my mentors, a very close friend, and you can't get any cleaner and clearer than that. Wear the damn mask. And that has got to be the message. So, let's continue to move forward as a Board of Commissioners, as leaders that we are, and get through this. But I'm just tired of people getting sick, and I believe that we need to be vigilant. So, okay, I'm done being parochial at this point.
Don't ask, just mask.
Oh, there's a preview of Weaver today at 1 o'clock. And we had, listen, and you're right, Ed, it's hitting all phases now where folks are being susceptible to getting sick. We had a previous leader, a young lady who ran one of our venues here in Carroll, who is now sick with it and is in the hospital. In the interest of not giving out personal information, we need to keep her in our thoughts. So she was very prominent in our community for years here. So want to give a shout out to her as well. So we just have to remain vigilant, and we have to, what I believe to be, listening to the health experts and take the politics out of this. That's my message. That's my secondary sermon behind Commissioner Rothstein. if we don't listen to our health experts, then we're going to be in a bad place here. And we just cannot shut things down again. We cannot do it. So got to do what we got to do. So anything else on COVID? That's about all we have from the state.
Yes, sir. I like to add that I live right up the street from Crimgold Park, and I like seeing lots of people out there utilizing trails and walking. If anyone's interested in hiking and walking, because some of us put on COVID weight during the shutdown, get out to our extensive trails and parks throughout the county. It's easy to go on the website of Parks and Rec and find a good local trail and get out there and walk and enjoy yourself and live a healthy lifestyle. Good luck.
All right, that takes us right into agenda item number 2 as we march quickly through this morning. And that is any updates on our Corona Relief Fund plan. And I don't know what we have. Deb, I know you're on here this morning, Standiford. Do we know where we are with our relief funding and how it's being distributed? We can get an update from you this morning. Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. Yes, I'm here to give you that update. Overall, the budget remains the same. We haven't made any changes in the overall budget or projects. All projects are continuing to move forward. We also are working with each agency to review new requests. As we're planning to open and planning to bring public back into our buildings, things are starting to come up. To date, we still have flexibility in the plan so that we can address those needs. And have been able to include everything that is COVID related. So if you have any specific questions for me.
Did all the money get distributed to the municipalities at this time?
Yes. Okay. Yes, all the checks have gone out to the towns, and we're still waiting for CC Visa to return the subrecipient agreement. But Jamie and I talk frequently, so it's in the works. There have been some vacations in there. And as soon as that's returned, we will distribute that funding. So then all of our subrecipients will have received their funds.
Okay, thanks. And I'll tell you, one of the benefits of what's been happening is the communications with the municipalities. I've been talking a whole lot more than I ever had been, and the responsiveness going back and forth. So really appreciate it. Thanks, Debbie.
I agree. I really don't do a lot with the municipality. So I've made all those contacts and I've been sending them grant information aside from what we're doing to them as I see it.
Okay, thanks, Deb. Back to CC Visa. There was some confusion as to who was actually putting the details towards who gets what out of our 14 fire companies. I want to be clear that is being left up to the folks at CC Visa. Correct?
Correct. Based on the original request that the fire companies gave to CC Visa. I don't believe that they're going to make any big changes to that. The fire companies were asked to submit requests. The only things that we gave them a little flexibility because there were other funds available for PPE and for staff costs. And those were a very, very small part of the plans of fire companies. So we left that up to CC Visa about how to distribute that money, but the rest of the revenue, lost revenue is remaining the same for each fire company, whatever they submitted. I don't believe that CC Visa is planning to make any changes to what was submitted.
Okay. So, but the point is CC Visa submitted those requests to us. That was done by them. We did not tell them what they were getting. They told us what they needed based on the 14 fire companies' requests.
Correct. And we granted the entire $943,000 that they requested.
Okay. All right, very good. Jack, we've got you on here this morning. Let's get an update on down in your shop on the grant monies that we're putting to small business, sole proprietorships. Jack, good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. As of last night, we received 188 business and 19 nonprofits to a total of 207 as of last night. We didn't pull them off this morning. We've been averaging about 10 to 15 a day, so we're somewhere around at 225. And that gives us about, I haven't added all the numbers up, but somewhere around 1,300,000, 1,400,000. And remember, we have 2 more weeks. We're out there advertising. We ran the ads again in the paper. We have the billboard. We're calling the towns again. We're using our vehicles that we have, calling all the chambers and everything else. So we might have to come back with another phase, but we'll make a recommendation to you if we still have some money, in the next 2 weeks.
You getting any small sole proprietorships requesting funds?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that, Commissioner.
Are you getting any sole proprietorships now requesting funds?
Yes, we got about 40 of them that came in since we changed that. And that's where most of them are coming from right now. The sole proprietors. We're a little disappointed in the nonprofits, but the nonprofits have a lot of paycheck money that came in. We're seeing, but we're hoping we're getting it out to the nonprofits to, hopefully to come in. But we're seeing a lot of the small proprietors. Yes, sir.
Because of the parameters that we put on this commercial industrial space, a lot of the sole proprietors are home-based businesses. They are not eligible at this time. And I know there's still frustration about that, but we've already, I want to say, fixed the plane while it's in flight. We've made adjustments to the criteria already once, and working our way through this, I think, is important with the criteria that we provided. So Jack, I do applaud you for that and for reaching out to a lot of folks. Some of the feedback that I am receiving is how cumbersome it is to get the work done in the application process, and cumbersome. And I don't know if it's complicated or not, but it sounds like it's more time consuming than was expected. And I don't know if folks are just saying it's not worth the bang for the buck, type of thing. I don't know, but that's some of the feedback that I'm receiving from folks. Are you hearing any of that?
We're hearing some of that, but on the other side, we're looking at the amount of paycheck that was sent to the same businesses and businesses, and the paycheck program wanted a lot more information than what we're getting. So, with 207, 220 people, don't seem to have that problem.
Okay, I appreciate it. I mean, and I don't want to leave a dollar on the table. It would be awesome if we get $4 million appropriately executed and allocated out there. So appreciate everything you're doing. And you got 5 commissioners, to also voice it out there. So use us to, again, extend our reach, the best we can. So great job, you and your team.
Thank you.
I agree. You don't want to leave any money on the table. And I have talked to some of the smaller business people. A lot of it has to do with their accounting systems and how well they're set up or not set up in this. And it can be cumbersome or it can be relatively easy, but depends on their accounting and their status in the state. And some of them are finding out, wow, I forgot to do this 2 years ago, and the state they're not in good standing or whatever. So little things pop up that they need to address, and that takes some time.
Well, we do. One of our problems is they're not in good standing with the state, but a lot of them aren't in good standing with the county. They haven't paid their taxes either. We're working with, with the controllers group, but we're going back. We're not throwing them out. We're going back and sending emails and telling them what they need to do. That's taken a lot of time too, but we're not denying anyone unless they're just not eligible, but we are going back to every single one of them and saying you're missing this, 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 and this is how you do it. So we're working with every application that we have. That's the process now. But if we don't spend it all, we'll come back to you with our recommendations for, I guess, I'm going to call it phase 3 on this. So we're moving along.
That's good, Jeff. Yeah, and that's the point that I wanted to. that this is a work in progress, and Ed, you alluded to that. As we get through this and see what kind of monies we have left, yeah, Jack, we'll probably do a phase 3 and readjust on some of these, but we've got to make sure that we get it out there. And I haven't heard any of the cumbersome things yet, and I can tell you that the paycheck program, you're not getting feedback. You're trying to get money from them. Like you are from our folks, because Jack and his team are reaching back out to people and saying, hey, by the way, you're not eligible because of this. Can tell you the feds aren't doing that. So I give a shout out to you, Jack, for your team for doing that. And
What's the team?
While I agree that it might be a little cumbersome, in my mind, there's got to be accountability. So we've got to make sure that they are dotting the I's and crossing the T's, because we're just not out here to drive through the towns in a convertible throwing money. There's got to be accountability here. So I just think that's very important. But on that other side of the coin, let's point out, Jack, you are doing your due diligence to ensure that if it first comes in and they're not eligible, that you get back to them and say, okay, well, if you do this, then they can get it. So, and it is a work in progress. I've gotten a few folks that have said, well, why not? Why aren't you doing home-based? Let us get through this in the phased approach here, and we'll make and maybe get to that in phase 3. We're doing the best that we can with a very limited staff down here. Jack and his team of about 3 are working very hard to get through this. So give us a little bit of a break here and let us get through this, and we'll get to that phase 3. So anything else you have, Jack?
Yes, commissioners. We are going to be, since it closed on the 15th, we're going to be sending out the letters asking for the W-9s, and we're going to be sending it up to Rob. So checks should be hopefully issued next week. We're ready to issue checks after going through the applications. So we're excited about that. And it's a short turnaround. We close Wednesday, and we'll be sending, like I said, the checks, the request up to Rob, and we're sending the W-9 request out today to probably about 80 people. So we're excited about that. On the sidebar, Burke is going to open up the first stimulus with the unemployment. The federal, the $600 expires on the 25th. So Burke, we're going to open up the building on the 27th by appointments only. We've been working we've had quite a few appointments. Most of them are unemployment. However, the state is not sending their 4 employees back to our shop over there, but we're going to work through that. So you're going to see the sign change and say we're going to be open up on the 27th by appointment only. All our staff will be available for placements. And that's all I have, unless anyone has any questions.
I just want to say one thing. The speed in which this is happening in Carroll County is not happening in other counties. Jack and his crew take these applications, they turn them around within a couple of weeks, and money is out there. This doesn't happen everywhere. And Jack, thank you thank your people helping you get this out at that speed. It doesn't happen like this everywhere in the state.
Well, we're used to reacting with brokers and our deals, so we're pretty good at that. And I can tell you, I know Commissioner Rothstein was talking about, we have an incredible amount of prospects all of a sudden with the low interest rates with manufacturers. We've been meeting with Commerce. We've had 2 meetings, and we have a meeting tomorrow with an out-of-state project. So we're rocking and rolling, as we call it down here, with the manufacturing prospects. And so, it's a busy department, but thank you for all your support. And our staff I think, is doing incredible, but we're used to it. Thank you for your kind words.
Mr. Lyburn, thank you for you and your staff. Most of what I was going to say, Commissioner Wance already said, so I'm in complete agreement with him on that. And on the upside, the fact that we're not overwhelmed and depleted of funds yet is actually a good sign that it's not as bad as we thought it might be. So I guess our business community is a little bit more stable than we thought it might need help with. So that's a positive sign. And the fact that you and your staff are going back and helping these people through it. I know sometimes it's difficult for people to go into an application process with the government, but it's good we have that process. And as Commissioner Wance said, the accountability is so important. We got a lot of eyes watching us with this CARES funds and the program. We're going to potentially get more criticism. So it's really important that you and your staff are, as Steve said, dotting the I's and crossing the T's. So thank you very much for what you're doing for our business community.
Thank you.
Go
Hey,
back to work.
Jack.
That's all I
Yeah,
have.
wait a minute before you put him back to work, Ed. I think you said it closed the 15th. It's not, it's actually open until the 30th, isn't it, Jack?
Yes, but the first phase we had out there was closing on the 15th, but we extended it to July 31st. Yes.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that folks that are tuned in
I'm
knew
sorry.
that was changed. So, okay.
July 31st.
Okay. Now,
Thank you.
in the words of my great colleague, Commissioner Ed Rothstein, get to work, Lyburn. All right. Anything else on the CARES relief funding? All right. Hearing nothing, we're going to move quickly now back down through the rest of our agenda. Deb Standiford, thank you. Thank you for your report this morning, and thank you also for your hard work on this. You're doing a great job with the grants, as you always do. So kudos to you. Okay. Next on our agenda, we're going to hear from our comptroller on a resolution declaring county's official intent to reimburse expenditures with our debt proceeds. And Rob, you're on the seat anyway, because I think tax bills went out and yesterday was tax day. So any words of wisdom on that? We'll love to hear that too, Rob. So I'll turn it over to you. Mr. Burke.
Sure. Good morning, commissioners. Yeah, that was in all my years in the tax business, having July 15th be tax day was an interesting date. And the state comptroller put out a good bit of publicity saying, if you weren't able to do everything, do what you can, work with them. They're working with people. And same message for us. Our property tax bills went out July 1. And our message is, if you're struggling, facing challenges right now, reach out to us. Let's work something, a payment plan or give some time, and work with people. So we're trying to do that. So thank you for that. Although I will put in the plug, the county office building does still remain closed to the public. So we've got several alternative ways for people to work with this. And, we can certainly accept payment by mail, or we have a drop box here, but some people are still trying to come to the building and creating a little backlog there at the front door. So reminder, that building remains closed, but feel free to reach out to us. We can work with people. Okay, before the board this morning with a resolution declaring the county's official intent to reimburse expenditures with debt proceeds. That is a bit of a mouthful. It's an annual process we go through after the board passes the annual budget, the fiscal year 2021 budget that went into effect on July 1. We need to follow up with this official intent, which basically says the amount of bonds that were passed in the budget here, $43,525,891, that this gives us the flexibility to be able to spend those dollars, kind of use county cash on hand first, and then be able to come back at a later point and identify those projects and issue bonds to reimburse ourselves that money. That's our primary method of borrowing now. So we don't generally like to issue bonds and take on debt before we spend it. We keep the flexibility. As a project's moving, as we're paving roads, whatever it might be, we'll spend that money first and then reimburse it on an annual basis. So we do plan on doing a bond issue here later in the year, probably around November. So this is a pretty, an annual process, a pretty administrative process. No real commitment or obligation here, either in terms of ever issuing that debt. If we cancel a project and don't do it, there's no obligation created here. It just kind of goes away. There's also no time restriction or expiration on this declaration of intent. So it kind of stays with these bonds for as long as it sits on our books. If we feel the need to delay or defer any projects, this intent just stays with it. So there's no commitment. There's really no downside to this process. So any questions?
Over half of that's with the school system. Is this due to the tech center upgrade?
Looks like it's primarily the Career and Technology Center investment, yes.
Okay.
And I trust the other three of you, I know you did, Dick, because you just asked a question about it, got the breakdown this morning from Rob's office. So if there's any specific questions there, it gives you the breakdown of where the specific bond money would be assigned to. So is there any questions for Rob? All right, that said, Eric, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. I move that the Board of County Commissioners approve a resolution declaring the county's official intent to reimburse expenditures with debt proceeds.
Second.
Okay, anything else for Rob on this one?
Rob, I just want to thank you and your staff under these trying times for doing such a great job. We appreciate you at the helm in your position.
Thank you.
All right, all those in favor? That's unanimous. Rob, thank you very much. And I know these can be trying times, as you said, with all things tax right now and all things COVID. So, keep up the good work. I actually spoke with a couple citizens yesterday at the door, and they were very kind. So this time, tax time of year, you can get some that are not very kind, but I actually talked to some that were very kind, Rob. So that's good. So thank you. And we'll continue that good work through your office. So well done. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. With that, we move into a couple items in reference to citizen services. The first one being submitting an application and accepting an award for the Senior Medicare Patrol Grant. And for that, I will turn it over, I guess, to Celine. I know Gina's on here. I know Deb's on here as well. But Celine, we'll turn it over to you. And while we have you, we'll get a COVID update from you as well on all things citizen services, because I know that you still have the homeless area set up yet. So just give us a brief, if you will, prior to what we're going to take care of here on the agenda. Good morning.
Sure. Good morning. And thank you for the opportunity to talk about our COVID response, especially as it relates to our whole Department of Citizen Services. As far as I think what you were referring to is obviously the medical respite that we had developed for our homeless individuals that may have been experiencing a need for convalescing from a medical procedure, and also people that had a need to isolate or quarantine from COVID. We are happy to say we have had no positive cases in our homeless population that have been identified through COVID. I think that is because we have done some very aggressive implementation of programs and outreach to folks in encampments, and also setting up this medical respite to ensure folks that might be at risk of getting COVID had a place to stay and had access to sanitary procedures. At some of the encampments that we knew of in the county, we did install hand sanitizing stations as well as dumpsters for a period of time to allow people for appropriate trash removal to keep their areas sanitized. And I think this was very successful. Debbie Standiford was on top of things right away to allow us to access some grant funding to be able to do that, which made us very proactive from the beginning. We are going to be closing the medical respite at the end of this month. That's as a result of, number one, the great success that we've had, but also that we have found that we don't need the volume of utilization for that we once anticipated. Should we have a need, we do have other alternatives for isolation and quarantine for folks in the homeless population that we have identified, and we will continue to monitor that very, very carefully. We do continue our outreach efforts for folks that are street homeless, and we'll continue to monitor if there's additional needs. We continue to have a pulse on eviction prevention as the eviction moratorium is going to be lifted on July 24th. And as we look at that, we want to encourage folks to contact our housing authority and human services program to ensure that they know what resources are available. We do have grant funding we applied for that HSP will be administering to help with eviction prevention. We also have our, they had already had a pot of money for eviction prevention that they can assist with as well. So we had anticipated more of a need because of COVID, which I'm sure we will have. And we will be coming out with a landlord survey as well to get a better understanding of what that additional need is going to look like. So we're continuing to make recommendations on that process because our goal as an entire community is to keep all of our families stable and housed. As far as the day center that was operating for homeless individuals out of the Westminster Senior Center, that will be closing at the end of this week. That day center and the offerings that they provided there as far as the ability to do laundry, to take showers, have food supports, that will all still continue to be offered over at the homeless shelter at 125 Stoner Avenue. They would just need to access that through ringing the doorbell at the shelter. So those services will still be available. We're just modifying how we're providing them. Debbie, Gina, from an aging perspective, I think it's important to say that we still have our senior centers are closed to the public, and they're developing virtual programming, which is really fantastic. So make sure you're checking out our website. And as we move forward, we're trying to be creative with how we're delivering services to that population as well. And also some additional home delivered meal resources that have been developed targeting some of the senior living buildings. And once we are successful in the initial pilot, we may expand that as well. So a lot of different things and a lot of changes as a result of COVID, but all positive changes.
Ms. Steckel, I want to thank you and your department for everything you're doing. You deal with the most vulnerable citizens of our population, and talking about the homeless is very critical, and I appreciate it. I think a lot of people don't understand that these individuals are suffering from mental illness, addiction problems, and it shows your compassion or our compassion collectively to help these people so they don't affect and have a negative impact upon the rest of the population that we're addressing their needs. And under these trying times, you guys have been very creative with what you're doing, and I appreciate all the effort you're putting into it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I did also want to give a big thank you to all of our community partners that are assisting with all of this, with all of our efforts, and that is Access Carroll, HSP, the Health Department, Youth Services Bureau, and also just our aging and disability staff, as well as obviously Debbie Standiford, and also our housing staff here at Distillery. So everybody has been key in pulling this all together because not one agency could have done it. So thank you to them. Okay.
Okay, thanks, Celine. Now on to your agenda item.
Okay, so I'm here today, obviously, with Gina, our Bureau Chief of Aging and Disabilities, and Debbie Standiford, our Grants Manager, and we are seeking approval to submit our Senior Medicare Patrol Program grant application and then acceptance of the award. This grant period would be for June 1st, 2020 through May 31st, 2021. And the Senior Medicare Patrol Program is administered through the Maryland Department of Aging, through the Administration for Community Living. The Senior Medicare Patrol Program was originally developed to ensure that Medicare and Medicaid beneficiaries had access to up-to-date and current information about healthcare fraud and how to identify it and prevent it and report it. The total grant award for this program is $5,632, and there is no required county match. And I'm going to now turn this over to Gina, who's going to speak a little bit more about how this program operates and what we do with those funds.
Thank you, Celine. Good morning. The SMP coordinator and volunteers of the program, they typically conduct one-on-one appointments and also educational events throughout the community to educate beneficiaries, as Celine mentioned, about Medicare and Medicaid fraud and how to protect themselves. Currently, during COVID, the majority of our inquiries are being handled by phone. However, essential in-person appointments are permitted here at the Bureau of Aging and Disabilities on a scheduled basis. The coordinator is also working with and coordinating with the Carroll County Public Library System to hold virtual informational and interactive sessions. Which is fantastic because holding these virtual forums is obviously new to us, but we've definitely been striving to provide those to still educate the public. The SMP program is a part of the State Health Insurance Assistance Program, which is referred to as SHIP, and all SMP activities are incorporated into the SHIP program. We schedule shredding events every year, which we have been able to hold this year. They've been taking place. No contact events have been taking place at all the senior and community centers, which is fantastic. We could still hold those, and that is in an effort to cut down on incidents of identity theft and fraud. Each year, the program serves approximately 1,400 beneficiaries, and examples of healthcare fraud could be performing unnecessary procedures, prescribing unnecessary medications, or billing for services that were not provided. But in many instances, we find that it's a billing error that we work with the provider and the program participant to resolve the issue. So we would be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Questions for Celine, Gina, or Deb on this one? Hearing none, I move that we approve the SMP grant application and award acceptance.
Second.
All right. All those in favor? That's unanimous. Okay. Thank you, Gina. Thank you, Celine. You're still on here this morning for the approval to submit application for the Senior Assisted Living Group Home Subsidy Grant, which has an acronym that I can't pronounce. So whatever. Anyway, I'll turn it over to you again, Celine.
Okay, and we call that the SALGS program, or SALGS. So it's the Senior Assisted Living Group Home Subsidy Program, and you don't have to know how to say it in order to approve it. I'm just gonna put that out there. So we are here before you again, asking for application approval to submit our application for this program and accept the award. This grant would run July 1st, 2020 through June 30th, 2021. The Senior Assisted Living Group Home Subsidy Program is a state-funded program that provides an option for low-income older adults to access assisted living care by providing a subsidy towards the cost of their care in that assisted living facility. The total grant award for this program would be $151,000 with no required county match, with $15,000 of that supporting the SALGS program coordinator, while the remaining $136,000 would be used for client subsidies. I'm going to turn this over to Gina, who's going to give you some additional details about this program, which is very impactful to some of our individuals in Carroll County.
Thank you, Celine. So I call it subsidy for short because that's just a lot easier. But the subsidy program, it provides up to $650 a month to qualifying individuals to assist them with paying for the cost of an assisted living facility. In fiscal year 2021, we do expect that subsidy to be increased to $1,000, and which is going to help us to serve more people. The cap of $650 makes it very difficult for people, even with their income, to be able to afford an assisted living facility. So we are looking forward to that increase being passed. It is a bit of a process because the program is written into COMAR regulations, and so there's a legislative process. But we're expecting that and anticipating that in the near future. It's the only program that we administer that is not Medicaid funded that assists people with subsidizing the cost of an assisted living facility. We do currently have openings in the program, so anybody who is interested in learning more about the program or applying can call the Bureau of Aging and Disabilities, and that number is 410-386-3800. Assisted living facilities, in order to qualify to be a provider, they must have between 4 and 16 beds. And so unfortunately, the larger assisted living facilities are not eligible to be providers. We do currently have 15 assisted living facilities enrolled in the program and 9 participants enrolled in the program. We did receive an increase in funding this year for fiscal year 2021 in the amount of $2,449. So typically with this cap of 650, we can serve 17 people in the program. So again, it's for older adults who are 62 years of age and older, and there are income and asset requirements. But we'd be happy again to answer any questions you might have about this program.
Yeah, Gina, thanks. A few things. One, you said there's 15 homes that are participating. How many are out there in Carroll County? Give or take.
We have approximately 32 assisted living facilities in Carroll County, but some of them, again, are eliminated from being providers because of the number of beds that we have.
Right, right. This is not the first time that we've received this grant, correct? We've been receiving this over a period of time. How long have we been receiving this?
We've received this grant, I would say, for close to 18 years, if not longer. It's been a long time, and that cap of 650 has been written into COMAR since the beginning of the program. And I would like to thank you all, because during, I think, the last legislative session with the delegation, that you did support the increase in that monthly cap for us. So we greatly appreciate that.
Absolutely, because I agree. I mean, you know, time goes by and the numbers sometimes don't, so increasing it was an important piece. Is the 151,000 based on the number estimated that we have in the county to serve, or is that, how did that number come up?
So that there is a formula that Maryland Department of Aging does use to determine the allocations. I would say leading up to maybe 4 years ago, the allocations were not equal across the state. So they did develop a formula looking at the population, I think the level of poverty as well, to then readjust those allocations to counties to make sure that it was equal and adequate across the board.
Does the ALICE report feed into this? Do you know?
Not that I'm aware of, no.
Okay. Do we participate from a county into the discussion on the formula where we can say we are either being justly awarded the amount, or on the flip side, suggest other ideas on why they're not counting certain communities or populations that we say you're not getting us nearly as much as we need to serve the community? I mean, how can we voice our opinions, or are we already doing that?
Well, I think that occurred back when these allocations and again the formulas were developed. That advocacy took place, I think, back then. We certainly have the ability to express, you know, our opinions and concerns to the Secretary of Maryland Department of Aging. But they have worked with multiple programs that we have. They have worked to create formulas to make sure, again, that those allocations across the board are what they should be, or at least equal across the board.
Okay. With that said, I'll move that the Board of Commissioners approve the Senior Assisted Living Group Home Subsidy Program Grant Submission and Award Acceptance.
Second.
Dick, did you have a question? I saw you lit up during some. You're good? Okay. All right. Okay. Anything else on this one?
Very quickly, Ms. Valentine, you mentioned the poverty level as a part of the formula. Do you happen to know what our poverty level is in Carroll County relative to the state average or anything?
Would it, off the top of my head, I don't like saying I do not, but I do not. Would it be okay if I send you that information?
Yes, ma'am. Sorry about that. I put you on the spot, but I appreciate it and look forward to seeing it. Thank you.
No, that's okay. Thank you.
You know, one thing that's been of value is that ALICE report. I mean, it's skewed, but it is a pretty dynamic report that's provided. I don't know when the last numbers came out. It may have been 2016, but it shows the poverty level, education level, and all that kind of fun stuff in the county. So I know that's out there.
And commissioners, if I might add, this is kind of a plug for the census, because I would say most state agencies use census data to drive these formulas. So they'll look at poverty, the number of folks that we have that are elderly, and our overall population. So we need to fill out that census so that we have those categories captured for these formula grants.
That's a great point. And the pop-up pantries that we're conducting in the county, we're talking to folks as we're providing them food, if they've filled out the census or not, because we're finding a lot of folks that are receiving these type of foods and, over the week are not filling them out. But then the following week they said, hey, guess what? We filled out our census. So we're getting pretty good feedback because we're seeing the same folks come back week after week. They are vulnerable. They are a lot of times not taking the time to do the census. That's a really good point, is everybody needs to do our part in the census.
All right. With all that being said, thank you guys very much. All those in favor of this motion? And that's unanimous. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to roll into from Citizen Services to Department of Public Works and request concurrence for pipe replacement, parking lot overlay, and trench repairs. And I'm going to start it off with Maureen because she's on here, and then we'll let the others explain what's going to happen here. So Maureen, good morning.
Okay, good morning. Thank you. We're here this morning to request your approval to award a contract to Stanballs Incorporated for pipe replacement, parking lot overlay, and trench repairs at the courthouse annex in the amount of $61,211. This work will include all the labor, the material, and equipment. This cost is within the budget. And any questions about the project, I'll turn it over to Justin and Thad.
Commissioners, if I could, I can give you the background and overview of this particular project if you'd like to hear it. Very well. The background, the rear parking lot was most recently paved in the 1980s. Some minor repairs have taken place over the years to preserve the lot. And the parking lot serves the employees' parking as well as some designated spaces for the sheriff's department. The overview, we're going to replace the cast iron sump pump line that runs directly under the middle of that parking lot. Also that previously, a couple months ago, we replaced some lines in the courtyard, the water main and some cooling lines. So there's a trench line that goes all the way across the courtyard that needs to be repaved. At the parking lot itself, we're going to do an overlay with Petromat, 2 inches of 9.5 millimeter asphalt, and we're going to do the entire lot in the rear. After that, we'll do some line painting. We're also going to move the handicap spaces to the end where we just got finished putting the brand new sidewalk in so we can accommodate ADA. That's all I have.
That's good. That you detailed that right down to the nth degree there. Any questions on this project? Hey, while you're digging up that lot over there, if you find anything, do we get to keep it, or I don't know how that works, or does the courts? I don't know. Does the Leonardo get to keep it, or do we get to keep it? I don't know.
I'll take some pictures and we'll put it out to bid.
Board of Commissioners award the grant to Stanballs Incorporated for pipe replacement, parking lot overlay, and trench repairs to occur at the courthouse annex in the amount of $61,211.00.
Second.
Okay. Any more questions for Thad or Justin? All those in favor? Thank you, guys. Okay. Appreciate it. Good luck with that project. Thanks, Justin. Thanks, Thad.
Thank you.
All right. Procore Project Management Software subscription renewal. And again, that's Maureen. Good morning again.
Good morning. Again, we're here to seek your approval to renew an annual subscription for Procure project management software to EC America Incorporated in the amount of $37,239.29. And again, this is within the adopted budget. If you have any questions about the project itself, I'll turn it over to Mark.
Morning, Commissioners. This is an annual renewal. It's a software package that's been used by building construction for a while. Very satisfied with it. I have with me today Mr. Eric Burdine to answer any specific questions you may have about the product or use of it.
So just give us a synopsis on what this does, either Eric or Mark.
Sure, Commissioners, good morning. The Procore project management software enables staff managing construction projects to manage their multiple projects in one place with increased accountability, transparency, and collaboration, both internally and externally. It's designed to help streamline tedious tasks, centralize document management, control costs, enable forecasting, and automate complex workflows that allow project teams both in the office and in the field. That's our architects, our subcontractors, and contractors to collaborate and manage overall project objectives. It also provides for a central repository of data that can be used to generate project-specific reports, compare historical and current costs during change order analysis, as well as provide historical cost data to assist us in the completion of CIP estimates. So it basically handles management of any given construction project from start to finish.
Well, I think it's an excellent managerial tool that keeps us up to speed with the industry that's out there.
How long have you had this one?
Last year was our first year that we received it, and we spent some time this past year. The implementation was a little more difficult than we anticipated. It is designed for the general contractor, so us as an owner, we had to kind of trick the system into working how we wanted it to work and how we needed it to work. We've been able to do that. I'd like to thank Laura Myers and Stephanie Haynes and Kirk Engel. We worked real hard this year to get the implementation complete, and we will be using it. Actually, we're currently using it on the Carroll Community College and Exploration Commons.
Okay, first, Maureen and Mark, if you can mute your systems. It's amazing the feedback we receive, even if just one is unmuted. I'll move that the Board of Commissioners approve the renewal of annual subscription for Procure project management software to EC America Incorporated, the amount of $37,239.29.
Second.
Okay, anything else on this one? All those in favor? That's unanimous. Okay, thank you, Mark. Thanks, Eric. Tablets for the Sheriff's Office is next up. And Maureen?
Okay, one last time. We are requesting your approval for the purchase of 23 Latitude rugged tablets from Dell Computer Corporation in the amount of $86,958.40. These are for the sheriff's vehicles. And again, this amount is approved in the budget. And for any questions, I'll turn it over to Mark and Vicki.
Hi, Commissioners. This is just part of a standard replacement cycle that we go through. These are a little bit different laptops in that they are ruggedized because they are driving around in vehicles all the time and can be taken out in the field to be used. So they're a little bit tougher than what the normal user would have. We've been using them for years, and I have Vicki McDonald with me here this morning from the Sheriff's Department if you have any additional questions.
So just two, that's all we need?
No, it's 23, I think.
Okay, okay, 23. All right, sorry about that. I read it wrong. Okay. What do you do with the old ones?
The old ones are then taken and wiped, and in most cases, they're not something that we can reuse, so they eventually end up either going out to auction or to the landfill.
Hey, Mark, you kind of tailed off. You said they go off to auction?
Right, or sometimes if it's something that we can't auction, they will end up in the landfill.
Okay. I'll move the Board of Commissioners approve the purchase. The Board of Commissioners approve the purchase of 23 laptops in the amount of $86,958.40 to Dell Computer Corporation.
Second.
How easy is it to get these, Mark? Is it going to be tough to get these? I know Dell's backed up. You're muted. You're muted, Mark. Hey, Mark, you're muted. It was a good, you're still muted, Mark. It's a good answer, but I don't know what it is.
Okay, there we go. No, these are ruggedized, so they're easier to get than the standard edition that most people are using.
Okay, cool.
I don't feel so bad when the technology guy has technology problems too.
Actually, that kind of scares me personally, but that's a different story.
It's a tad bit troubling, I gotta say. Anyway, anything to add, Vicki? Since you're on here, anything?
Oh no. Thank you for the approval, Commissioners, and good morning.
Okay, thank you and good morning. All right, any other questions on this one? If not, all those in favor? I think I've got 2, 3, 4. There it is. All right, thank you. That's approved unanimous. Maureen, thank you. Mark, Vicki, thank you all very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Okay. Oops, now I'm muted. Okay, we're at the end of our agenda items, which is good. On time, by the way. Actually, might be a little ahead of time. Just pointing that out. Anyway, I know our county administrator is on. She's away. Much needed Bay. Kay, Ted, anything for you since you're acting? You have anything for open admin?
Not a thing.
That's great answer, Ted. Great answer, Ted. Great answer. Okay, I've got a couple things before we go into agenda. Number one, I want to add an item to next week's agenda, and I think this is going to be an easy one. I've been working with CC Visa. They're having a challenge, and you guys know about the LoSAP program. So as a volunteer firefighter or whatever, a volunteer whatever in these fire companies, you have the ability to earn 50 points that gives you the ability to be able to get the tax exemption and that type of thing. Our fire companies are struggling this year for some of our folks to be able to get those 50 points for the obvious reasons of fundraisers being canceled and a real lack of activity. So the idea has been floated that for those that were able to get 50 points in 2019, that we just grandfather those folks over to 2020 and allow them to get those 50 points, because in most cases they are active individuals anyway. So I don't know that it needs a formal agenda item. There's some question as to who takes the responsibility on that. I'm going to check that out before next week. But if it doesn't have to be an agenda item, are there any problems that any three of you have if we just go ahead and do that? I know many jurisdictions are doing that that have a strong volunteer fire department presence. I can get more info if you want, but if it doesn't need to be an agenda item, I'd just like to let it roll. Now, Tim's off this week, Burke, so I wanted to make sure that legally we're able to do that too, because there's some question as to who has the responsibility for the parameters surrounding our LoSAP program. So thoughts?
I think just asking, Tim next week, or, just to logistically, if it's just doable, I mean, I'm all for it, but I don't want to get ourselves out of whack if we're doing something appropriate. So, but you're right. I think it is I don't want to say non-issue. It's an issue, but I think it's a non-confrontational issue.
Okay.
Commissioner Williams, I appreciate you bringing the public awareness to the stress our volunteer fire departments are going through. I look forward to the new Director McCoy jumping in, getting things straight, and eventually start getting some updates before us and some public awareness on this so people have a thorough understanding of the stress that our volunteer fire departments have been under, and that awareness hopefully can generate some donations and support to them as well. So I appreciate you bringing this up.
Yeah, and I know a lot of our fire companies have been having the food sandwich drive-through stuff, and I know in Tawnytown it was extremely successful. Nothing like a cheeseburger made out in the parking lot. Dick, do you have anything?
Yeah, I think we have to, I guess, put it on the agenda. This is public money being used, so we'll have to talk about it. But yeah, I'm not opposed.
Okay. I'll make sure I do my due diligence and get it on it next week so that we can just put the minds at ease for our volunteers. I thought I had 2 items, but I think that's it. Do we have any callers on the line, Chris or Greg?
I don't see any right now.
Okay, I know we did have one. This is the time that we would do public comment, but I don't see any either. So with that being said, anything else for open admin before I go down through the agendas? All right, let's roll down through the agendas real quick. For the week of July the 20th, nothing on the 20th. Tuesday the 21st, Commissioner Rothstein has planning and zoning at 9 a.m. Is that, that's in person, Ed? Or is that virtual?
No, honestly, is it virtual? I didn't know. So, okay, it's virtual.
It's virtual still, yes.
Okay, all right, thanks, Chris. All right, and then the Veterans Advisory Meeting is at 2 p.m. And Commissioners Rothstein and Weaver will be attending that. Dick?
Is that virtual?
I don't know. Let's reach out to Dina and see if they're holding it. Or more.
Last meeting was virtual. I didn't know.
Yeah, I would imagine it would be virtual, but hey, Chris, you lit up. Do you have an answer on that?
I'm checking. I would believe you guys are still virtual.
Okay. All right, we'll make sure they get the answers on that one. Next Thursday, we have session the 23rd and several topics to include our usual COVID discussion. We have a revised development review fee resolution for resource management. We're going to do some additional town and county agreements. We've got level 1 screen grant for citizen services. We've got some equipment we're purchasing and a water and sewer amendment request to go to public hearing on that. And we're going to get a briefing on comprehensive rezoning process. And that's all we have right now, but that probably will grow a little bit. We'll see, based on vacations and what have you. And Commissioner Weaver has the podcast. Speaking of the podcast, before I forget it, again, a shout out to Chris Swam and his team, Greg and Matt, because I said a name wrong on my podcast this week, and they caught it, and I was able to get it fixed due to the technology that they have, and it's amazing. I just reset the name and they overlaid it into my podcast. Don't you love technology? Anyway, kudos to you guys, because I don't know if anybody listens to our podcast or not, but apparently Chris, Greg, and Matt do. So nicely done.
Yeah, they're a wonderful pair. They've helped me with the exact same problem before. So good job.
Thank God somebody's looking out for you.
Yeah, okay, I'm going to quickly move on. with the week of July the 27th. You know, I'd come back at you on that one, Weaver, but since you're a new grandfather, I just can't do it. Just, you know, or a grandfather again. I'm just not doing it. So anyway, the week of July 27th, Thursday the 30th, Commissioners Frazier and Weaver will be attending the Gerstel Academy graduation, which was postponed, right, Dick? Is that what happened there?
It's an outdoor graduation. It was postponed originally, and they're deciding to have it. And yes, we'll be attending.
Okay. All right. As a result of that, we're either going to adjust and do a different time on open, or if there are very little items, we may just we may just cancel open, because we'll see, because you guys are obviously not going to be back at 10 a.m. So right now it's on the schedule of being done at 2 in the afternoon, but we'll readjust accordingly. So stand by on that. We got obviously a week away, and we'll see what agenda items we have. And Commissioner Frazier has the podcast that week. So we'll wait and see what goes on with that. That's all I've got on agendas. Anything else, gentlemen, for open admin? And no callers, right, Chris, Greg? Nope.
Nobody's holding.
Nobody's holding. All right.
I just want to very quickly.
No, go ahead.
I just want to very quickly say to President Wayans, thanks for keeping the COVID relief funds on the top of the agenda, because so many people are concerned about that, and it gives us a lot of transparency. So thanks for doing that on the agenda each week.
All right, anything else, gentlemen? Ed, come on, this is where you go.
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you.
Okay, a reminder to I got it, Weaver. You didn't vote on the last one quick enough, but you got this one, don't you? A reminder to everybody, look, remain vigilant, don't be complacent, and continue to do best practices, and we will all get through this. And I hope everyone stays safe. Again, as I said, summertime brings all kinds of activities. It's a great chance, as Commissioner Boucher alluded to get outside and enjoy all of the great resources that we have here in the county and in the surrounding jurisdictions as well. So get outside, have fun, but be safe. With that said, I think that was a unanimous adjournment, and we are out in an hour and a half, as opposed to the Board of Ed 6 hours. You want to make a comment on that one, Weaver, or just let that one go? I don't know. Just let that one. Okay.
I just think you run a better meeting than they do.
Well, you know, anyway, listen, not to make light of that, they have a lot of challenges over there with the opening. So, you know, kudos to them for burning the midnight oil on that one. More to come, obviously, on that. So, all right, gentlemen, it's unanimous that we adjourn. Everyone stay safe. Thank you all very much. For those traveling, safe travels. Take care.